Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining the webinar today. We're going to be discussing the merging of best practices of IT asset management and IT service management, followed with several tips and tricks for various organizations to kind of expand their IT asset management maturity. Just a quick introduction. I'm your host, David Apple. I've been working in IT in different roles for over 12 years, helping customers evaluate their IT service management solutions. For the past 7+ years, I've been with Flycast Partners, various roles, helping customers understand the overall landscape of solutions and processes in the marketplace. With me on the call today is really going to be the star of the show, Bobby McCullough. Bobby's worked in IT for over 25 years with different roles, but always specializing in either IT service management, asset management, as well as financial management systems and solutions. Bobby, I know you've worked in various industries helping implement these solutions in different verticals, whether it be healthcare, dealing with HIPAA compliance, different financial sectors, and everything that goes along there, as well as different state and government agencies. We have a very extensive group of people signed up for the webinar today from different industries. Really, Bobby has seen the different variations that healthcare may have, different from a manufacturing organization. And Bobby's goal here at Flycast Partner is to help our clients align their IT strategies and their business goals with the proper processes and software solutions to achieve those outcomes. So, Bobby, thanks for joining us today.
Thanks for having me, David.
Before we get into the discussion, there's a lot of new names on this list on our webinar. So I wanted to go a little bit just briefly about who we are at Flycast Partners. For the past 13+ years, we've been helping organizations evaluate, implement IT service management solutions, and improve their processes to create the positive outcomes and to follow the customer journey and their maturity in their organization. We have expertise in multiple solutions on the market, and we have also able to provide IT service management, ITIL training and consulting for various organizations. Bobby, tell me a little bit about when our customers or new customers are coming to speak with us. What are the challenges where you're typically hearing, in our first discussions about their current state and how they're managing assets throughout the IT department or really through the whole organization?
Sure. So a lot of times when we talk to customers about assets, one of the first things we find out is that they have a lack of centralization. So, you've got the networking group that manages their devices. They have their spreadsheet of assets. You've got the server group that has their spreadsheet of assets. Maybe facilities has a spreadsheet of fire extinguishers. So all that stuff is just not centralized, and that lack of centralization leads to a lot of issues. So first off, there's no single source of truth. If you need an answer about your assets, well, what kind of asset is it? Who do we have to go to get that information? Not having that causes inefficiencies. If someone asks to get a report around that asset inventory, it's difficult to get that report out. You're really at risk of an audit, basically because you're unprepared. Having that data on a spreadsheet, it is immediately stale once you produce that spreadsheet. The data is immediately out of date. All of this leads to overspending and overpurchasing, just so that you make sure that you have what's necessary for your organization to do its business. And this is really true of all organizations that really aren't doing ITIL asset management or ITAM asset management at that level. They really all have these challenges.
Part of the purpose of the discussion today is for us to provide some tips, some areas for all types of paths that our customers are on. And, everything you described, Bobby, there's areas that some of our clients are doing well and some that, they're doing well in one area, but there's still siloed departments that aren't adhering to these best practices. Therefore, there's no uniformity. So going into our agenda, we took a look at all the different signups, and everyone was sharing what IT service management solutions they're using, or some organizations on the sign up list are using asset management siloed solutions like Flexera, Snow Software, which is now part of Flexera. What we wanted to do is we looked at everybody's preferred solution or what they have in place today, and we wanted to give the tips on the one that we saw the most. And Freshservice, which we look at as one of the most fastest growing and popular ITSM solutions on the market, though those clients are signing up, and everything that they would need to do as far as to improve their asset management maturity can be done within the Freshservice solution. So that's where we're going to give our examples today. Though everything that, Bobby, you're going to talk about today, those principles and practices can be utilized in whatever software the audience is using today, correct?
Absolutely. Absolutely.
This is our brief agenda. We're going to cover really getting into the physical asset management piece, doing discovery, getting that centralized source of truth with a CMDB and the correlations between it and all services that are being offered throughout the organization. But then some organizations are already doing that today. So how do we then level up, and what type of financial management are we doing and are we tracking? And then finally getting into something a little more advanced that is getting closer to the utopia state, though I think that that's still a myth because there's always improvements, but getting into that risk management and that's license management throughout the organization. So I think these are the three topics we're going to cover today, Bobby. And where does a client, where should they get started if they really are just coming up with spreadsheets and those siloed reports that from different departments?
Sure. So we kind of start with physical management, and the reason is asset management is really two sides of the same coin. There's a physical side as well as a financial side. The physical side is what you've got, where's it located, and who's responsible, what are its attributes. And so without having a CMDB, you really only have your human intelligence around the device. A CMDB, a lot of times you're not going to populate that from a spreadsheet. That's data that you're going to get from a discovery solution, an agent probe or an endpoint or discovery solution that can bring all those devices into your asset management solution and basically marry up your human intelligence with your digital intelligence. And when we get over into the system, we'll see a little more at what that is. What the difference between those two data sets are. Without a CMDB, remote troubleshooting is time consuming and difficult because you really don't understand the attributes of that device. How is it configured? How is it being used? And so on. And as David, you mentioned earlier about having this data in silos, very difficult to report on it, because it's spread across multiple systems. Those systems may be individual spreadsheets. And so trying to pull a report out across all of those spreadsheets is very difficult. So the CMDB gives you a single point of entry for that reporting. You're able to unify that reporting within the system. So let's take a look at how that looks within the software. So this is a hardware device. This is actually the laptop that I'm speaking to you from. Now this laptop has human intelligence in it. Human intelligence is, what is it? What we pay for it and when? Who did we assign it to and where? So that's all your human intelligence. But that's only half of the data or the attributes of this device. This device also has digital intelligence. This is what you're going to get in real time from that agent or discovery solution to pull into the system. This is where, now, obviously your human intelligence, that may not change who it's assigned to and where it's being used. That may not change often. So that's okay to come in from a spreadsheet. And then you're just going to maintain that here within the system. But that discovery solution is what's going to keep all of this digital intelligence up to date. You're going to know exactly what's going on, any changes that happen to this configuration. If the device is a hardware device, you're going to be able to see the components that make up that device. You're also going to be able to see the software that's installed on that device. If it's a key infrastructure, you're going to be able to establish relationships. Now, this being my laptop, it may not be the best example here, but let's use our imagination and think about this as our organization's website. It has a web server, it has a database server, and it has a router that connects it to the network. So when a ticket comes in about this website, I can see right away that that router already has an open ticket. That's likely the issue that I'm having. So having this data in the system makes it much, much easier for your service desk to do root cause analysis and just to do general troubleshooting because they have a better understanding of what's going on with that device. Now, how do we interact with these devices? In an incident, here I'm having some problems with email, and so I think it's something could potentially be related to my device. So this is where we're able to come in and associate my devices with this ticket. I can come in and associate, no, it's really not a problem with Bobby's device. This is really something going on with our email server. So very easy to make those type of associations. And then I've got links to go into the details on that hardware so that I can get into that detail, those attributes that are going to help me support this ticket. Now, that's how we interact with that device for an incident. How do we interact with that inventory from a request? So the request comes from a catalog item. It has a very specific item that's being requested. In this case, it's an Apple MacBook. It may have a very specific form associated with it so that we can gather the information that we need for that request. When that request is initiated, it may have an approval that needs to be completed. And then once it's been approved, then we have the ability to fulfill that request. And this is where we're going to begin interacting with our inventory. We can select a device and click next. And now we're updating the life cycle of that device. So this is going to keep the device up to date on where it's been, how it's been used. And so now you've got the complete life cycle of what's going on with that device through that assignment. Now, along with using this inventory with tickets, we've also got out-of-the-box reporting. So you're going to be able to get reports about your inventory, just multiple perspectives of that inventory, as well as asset hygiene, things about assets that haven't been seen in a period of time, assets with incidents and changes, and so on.
And Bobby, everything you're showing us here is all within the same solution of Freshservice. And correct me if I'm wrong, but all the data and everything you walk through, organizations are able to determine, technicians have these capabilities and have all this information and data at their fingertips, all from that incident or that ticket that they received, correct?
Exactly right. And if you look across the bottom here, we're able to see laptops, desktops, and here's a facilities device. So you're able to bring in all those devices into your reports. You're not having to go to multiple spreadsheets that are in different formats, try to pull them together, toss out the data that you don't need, that isn't consistent. I mean, it's a real issue trying to get those type of reports. Having a single system with all of that inventory in it makes it much, much easier to get these type of reports out.
Right, and this looks like something that, outside of IT is valuable, and the way it operates, the way it looks and feels. This looks like these are the ways that you can break down those silos and ensure that there is a centralized way of tracking and recording and keeping assets up to date.
Exactly. This allows the system to bring to your attention what needs your attention, rather than you having to pour through multiple spreadsheets from multiple places.
Yeah, my eyes are getting too old to look at spreadsheets in such great detail.
So that was the physical side of the equation. There's also a financial side. What did we pay for it? How did we initiate the item? What caused us to need this item? Having that information in your service desk system gives you context within the service desk. If I'm calling with a problem with my server, knowing when that server's end of life and what we paid for it and its current value, that's very helpful in understanding whether or not I want to fix that server or if I want to replace that server. Again, decision making around critical infrastructure is hindered. You need to know those financial aspects. You need to know what that cost was, when you purchased it, what is its end of life, so that you can make decisions around that critical infrastructure. And again, low visibility or lack of financial reporting. So it's very, very difficult to get any type of total cost of any of your devices out of the system without bringing in that financial management part of that equation. Very, very important for ITAM maturity to be able to bring this data in. Now, how does this look within the system? So you have an out-of-the-box purchase order. You have the ability to modify this purchase order if we need to, so that you can add your own fields. Now, I understand that a lot of organizations probably have their own procurement system, and that's fine. This system and all the systems we work with have an API, so we have the ability to bring that data in here to the system from your procurement system. The idea there is that while you may be managing it over in that other system, having that data in this system gives your agents a single point of entry to come in and get all the answers that they need about their inventory. Now, here within the purchase order, I have the ability to generate a PDF. And so that's something that we could send out to the vendor if we needed to. I've also got approvals around that, so that we can handle those approvals here within the system. You're going to be able to see what started this process. I can see the service requests for these MacBooks that caused us to have to initiate this purchase order. Finally, you're going to be able to receive your assets. When you receive those assets and add them to your inventory, that's where we begin populating that human intelligence. What is it? What did we pay for it and when? Who did we assign it to and where? So you're able to get all of that information right there out of the system. Now, contracts. Contracts are critical for software management, but they also may be used for hardware purchases, hardware maintenance. You have out-of-the-box contract form. You're able to modify this form on a type by type basis. You're able to create your own contract types in the system. And so this allows me to track whatever I need here regarding this contract. I can add an attachment so I can add the language of that contract. I can also see the assets that are covered under that contract. I'm going to be able to know the cost of that contract and whether there's an expiration. Along with that expiration, we have a reminder so we can notify one or more people that contract is coming up for renewal.
That's been a common theme throughout our organization, is when you end up having so many solutions now are on a auto renewal and not thinking about the terms and conditions, that there's a cancellation 30 days or 90 days prior to. I think I know a lot of our clients are overspending and renewing software for one additional year just because nobody had the thought or the easy access and visibility to that. So that I know
Sure.
That's one big cost saver there to prevent that additional year of renewal that you end up accidentally forgetting to cancel that auto renewal.
Exactly right. Now, having this data here within the system Not only does it allow you as an agent to come in and get answers to questions, it also makes reporting around these much easier. So here is our out-of-the-box report around purchase orders. Again, just multiple perspectives of those orders by status, by vendor, and so on. What items did we purchase the most? I've got some filters across the top, so I can filter this if I need to kind of drill in to get into some of the data. We've also got out-of-the-box contract reports. Again, you've got filters across the top, multiple perspectives on your contracts. You can see what are expiring over the next week. So very, very helpful information right here at your fingertips. So we've talked about the physical and we've talked about the financial that really sort of moves us along in that ITAM maturity. The next step, though, is really our final step with risk management. This is where you need to do software management. Now, any organization that's had a software audit, you have a keen awareness of this risk management. I have a very good friend that a couple of years ago, they did not have software license management, and they discovered that they were overutilizing their Microsoft licenses. It was Microsoft that discovered it. And so there was a really big penalty. And the way they were able to get around that is they had to get rid of all their Microsoft software and go to Google. That wasn't the employees at that organization. That was not their preferred way of doing things. They're not happy that they're having to go to Google. This could have all been avoided if they had been doing software license management and understood the risk associated with their software titles. Doing software management in the system allows you to have visibility into your license position, so you understand where you are with relation to that audit risk. Without this information, you really have no financial context around that software licensing. What's it costing? What are we spending? And so on. Again, the same issue that we have over on the hardware side. You might have fragmented or a complete lack of software license reporting. You've got the individual applications. You may have a group that manages, and then you may have enterprise applications that another group manages. That data is separated. Having it in a single system makes it much, much easier to report on, but it also makes it easier for your agents to get answers to questions. So let's take a look at what that looks like in the system here. So software, first off, you've got a ton more software than what you see listed here, but you have the ability to define what you care about. Google Chrome, there's no audit risk, so you're going to mark it ignored. But for anything that you have an audit risk, you're going to mark it as managed, or if it's something that you just want to keep up with, you're going to mark those as managed. And that's going to give you this view of the system. You're going to be able to understand the contracts that you purchased that title under. It's very key that how many licenses we purchased. And then you're going to be able to understand that license position. How many installs do we have versus those titles that we purchased? Now, this is for sort of an installed software application. For those SaaS titles, we also have utilization data that we can get. So this is for our Zoom license, and that's a video conferencing SaaS title. And so you can see here the utilization data that we get. So let's say David needs a new Zoom license. And so David enters a request for that Zoom license. We have a workflow automator that can go out and look at this license position and basically understand where that license position is. Understand that you no longer have any available licenses, and then go and look to see who was last seen over 6 months ago. And then through that workflow automator, we can reclaim that license, reprovision that license to David, and have that all happen automatically behind the scenes, and then notify both users that it's occurred. So very, very easy to help with SaaS management, not just from the entitlement position to make sure that your audit risk is lessened, but also to help automate the distribution of that software as well. Now, along with this, how do we distribute that software? Well, that might come through a service request, just like our hardware, that MacBook request that we looked at. When we go to fulfill this, this is where we can select the contract that is going to be decremented from. So it makes it very, very easy to keep track of that and keep that information up to date within your system so that it's not stale. Finally, out of the box reporting around that software, just multiple perspectives of that software. Again, we've still got filters here in each of the widgets, so very, very easy to modify this and get just to that data that you need to see.
Yeah, that's one of my favorite examples of just a full cycle of automation, Bobby, that you're able to do, and really from within one console is receiving that request, all the data to make an intelligent decision how to handle that request. Pulling those unused licenses from a past person and reallocating that license opposed to having to purchase more new. And also the heavy reduction of breaking down the silos of that shadow IT of people going out and, everyone has management that has an expense account that they can just go purchase software and not really go through the normal, you want your organization to want to follow the best practice because it works easy and seamless, and not say, well, it's a lot easier if I just go buy some Adobe licenses for this marketing group here, opposed to call up IT and say, hey, we need these. I can just go buy it the same day. IT needs to give that same level of service, and make sure that's done in a correct way so that there's proper compliance.
Exactly right, David. That's very, very good point there. Shadow IT is a real thing. I've been talking about shadow IT for over 20 years, and having the ability to manage those software titles is very, very key. We really didn't even talk about the risk associated with someone installing an unsupported title in the system. It not only are you not aware of it when they install it, but there's a definite security risk with any title being installed that the IT department is not managing or aware of. So very, very good point there.
So, Bobby, thank you for kind of running through those, and I think the security aspect is probably something we can bring up on and have a whole nother discussion on.
Sure.
But for the sake of time, for any organizations that are looking for help in taking that first step, or maybe that second step in implementing these types of best practices, all of our consultants are ITIL certified and not only follow these best practices, currently helping organizations increase that maturity. All of our consultants were spread out throughout the U.S., so we have a lot of great customers in the Northeast, Southeast, Midwest, and out North and South West as well. So we kind of spanned North America. We do have expertise not only in Freshworks, but in a lot of the other solutions on the market. Our consultants have a lot of experience. They're cross-trained. I noticed some of the signups here are using some legacy solutions. We have expertise in how those work, but also what type of automation might be in that next phase. And we're able to provide really the industry knowledge, the product knowledge, as well as assist you in the implementation so that you can take it to that next level. Again, I mentioned one of the largest groups we had sign up today was Freshservice users. And we do see that as really I mentioned it before, the hottest solution on the market. We're having a lot of organizations move on from those legacy on-premise solutions over to Freshservice. And so we've done a lot of great work with Freshworks, the organization. Just last year, we were named their ITSM Strategic Partner of the Year, as well as their most valuable partner in North America. So for the Freshservice users in the group. I'm kind of talking to you a little bit more specifically right now. We just wanted to make sure you knew what type of resources we had available for you to help expand and start leveraging some of the benefits of the product if you're not already. We do have the capabilities to do, whether it starts with a health check or a gap analysis. We are able to help do a health check or a gap analysis, kind of give you a scorecard on what you're doing well, what areas there are for improvement, what capabilities the solution has that you're not leveraging today. The Freshservice product is also works very well when you want to expand that beyond IT. And that doesn't just go for service requests, but like Bobby, you showed us earlier, tracking those assets for the facilities group, for the software that does span on multiple organizations throughout the company. What type of software, giving the HR leaders and the finance leaders and the marketing leaders visibility to what assets they have and how IT is helping manage that for them. If you're looking to increase your ITIL footprint and maturity and expand into more processes or that continuous improvement, we have those capabilities. And we're also able to help add a lot of this automation that Bobby showed, that full life cycle. The last thing that we offer for several solutions is, this is kind of our unsung hero offering, is we do provide remote administration services, where your current administration team just may not have the bandwidth to go in and configure some of these aspects and functions within the tool. We have certified experts who, are able to jump in and perform those tasks. So we can, opposed to having to add more headcount to your staff to manage these ITSM solutions, Flycast Partners, we have resources that you can pull from and assign work out to our group. For other types of resources that we have available, and this is for everybody on the call, we will be coming out with more ITSM and IT asset management webinars throughout the year. At the end of this presentation, I believe there'll be a chance for you to take a survey. Please let us know what types of webinars or contents or challenges you're facing, and we will look to incorporate that into future webinars as topics. We also have tips and tricks blogs that are industry specific or will go specifically into individual ITSM solutions like Freshservice or some of the other ones we represent. So yeah, we're looking forward to the feedback from everybody. I know we're coming up on time here. Bobby, I want to thank you for preparing the presentation and digging into the asset management tips with our group today.
No problem, David. Love talking about asset management.
Perfect. Well, thanks again. And then to everyone who signed up and logged in today, I do thank you. And if you have any questions, feel free to reach out to us and we'll be happy to answer them. So thanks again, everyone.